I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire. Your new empire? Don't make me kill you. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must. You will try.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel. She is Hope. This is episode 103. And
she's also Anakin Skywalker.
Apparently.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Apparently. I'm married to Star Wars characters. Some of which is worse than others.
What? Anakin is the best Star Wars character.
He choked his spouse out. That doesn't thrill me.
He was tricked into
Killed
all
all those
things,
children.
Manipulated. Who cares about those kids?
He did a bunch of war crimes.
Into all these things, manipulated from the get-go, which this movie really showcases. And even though, was that bad with the thing choking Padme because he was tricked? And you know what? Obi-Wan should have chilled a little bit coming off that little ship there. And let's just say that I'm still with Padme at the end. Like there's still good in him, which we would realize years later there was still good in him. Anakin is just such a tragic tale, the most tragic of the Star Wars characters. But yeah, for those of you guys that are longtime listeners, I believe this was the second time you got treated to this iconic speech from the best Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith. So
fifth best.
You're welcome. You keep stop it. I'll give you fourth best if you're gonna put the OGs in front of it. Fifth best, get out.
Okay, matter. You'll start.
Don't make me kill you.
Yeah, you'll start force choking me or something. So, well, if you haven't noticed, we may have watched a Star Wars or two here in the last few days.
It was a weekend of here's some money. Go see a Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we already kind of started talking about it. Let's kick it off. So this weekend we went and saw Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, for its 20th anniversary re-release. I have to say, so that movie came out in 2005.
Yes, 20 years ago.
And
crazy.
It looks better today, 20 years later, than several movies I have seen in the past 5 years when it comes to CGI and everything. Like, I don't know what's going on.
It looked fantastic.
Yeah, it looked great.
And we did talk about this last week about how excited we were. There's just nothing like seeing Star Wars on the big screen. This is my favorite Star Wars movie. It is the first Star Wars movie that I ever got the pleasure of seeing at the theater. And now, after watching it on last Friday evening, it is the movie that now holds the record for the movie that I have seen the most at the theater. And I had even wondered, I was like, well, even though I've seen it a million times, I'm like, will there be parts of it that just feel slow just because we watched it a million times? No.
Because I'll say, for May the 4th, you generally watch this movie.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will do so again on May the 4th, which is coming up. So may the 4th be with you all.
Why didn't they... Was this the release weekend for this movie?
I think so.
Okay.
Which I always thought it came out in May.
Yeah, I thought it came out in May.
I'm misremembering because, again, 20 years ago. I loved it. So, Daniel, I'm going to let you start because I have a lot to say. Because he sometimes likes to play this character on this podcast where everything is fine.
I am always genuinely myself. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. You turned to me in that theater and just gave me a look because when that opened up,
all right, okay. Like, even my cold, dead heart fluttered just a little bit when A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away comes up on the screen. I even got a little excited because this is the first time. So all of us old school Star Wars people recall that Star Wars came out under 20th Century Fox. for all those years. So it was that 20th Century Fox logo with the trumpets and everything. And then when Disney bought it, Disney stripped all that off the movies and everything. But now that Disney bought 20th Century Fox, they put that back on the movie. So it was like it was. And so you hear those trumpets, you see the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then the Star Wars comes up big and loud, and the music's going, and you start seeing the opening scroll. And even my cold, dead heart had to get a little excited just to see that on the screen again.
Because you agree, it is meant to be watched on the big screen.
Oh, absolutely. All Star Wars should be seen on the big screen, yes.
And then, of course, before we even got to that, oh my gosh,
Oh,
Hayden
yeah.
Christensen comes on and says, "This is where the fun begins." I actually went, ah! I think there was maybe one other person in our theater that like audibly gasped. I kind of figured, because I had seen on TikTok like that he opened the movie, but I didn't know if it was like certain movie brands. But he did it. Looks like they put that on before every showing, and it was awesome. It was just so good, and I'm so happy that Hayden Christensen is finally getting his due, because Star Wars fans are a brutal group, and it just took the rest of it. It took social media, and it took those of us to grow up a little bit to be able to have our voice. And Hayden Christensen was only, 19 when he was first in Star Wars? Like, he was very young. And he took some crap, too. Like, I'm not even going to get into what they did to Jake Lloyd, but the fan base can be brutal. And I think he played Anakin wonderfully. Like, the character, like, of course, everyone's like, well, Anakin was so depressed. Duh. That's part of the reason why he goes to the dark side, dummies. And it's just really refreshing for me to see Hayden Christensen, who we knew grew up a Star Wars fan, is a fan. And you can tell that he still gets emotional when people just cheer for him at events. And I don't know, what do you think about that? I just think it's really special from like an actor like years later to finally just feel that love from the fan base.
Yeah, I mean, he still shows it, but particularly when he kind of came back into the fold a couple years ago, getting ready for Obi-Wan, and he got to go to that celebration. And, you know, that was kind of the first time he'd really hung out around Star Wars circles, probably since 2005, 2006 timeframe. And that was a completely different atmosphere back then versus now. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the
like
kids,
said,
the kids,
aged up. We've
yeah,
grown
the
up.
kids,
We have a voice now.
the people that were kids when they saw those movies. And we're probably even on the older side of that group of people, but they're
Social
grown
media is
up.
more prevalent.
Yeah, they're able to go out and show their appreciation for what's happened. I think, you know, in hindsight, especially with what's happened with other Star Wars properties and shows since then, in hindsight, there's a loud minority group of Star Wars fans who are never going to like anything other than, you know, the original trilogy, and that's it. And those people,
and I'm
I don't know what to do.
People, why do you keep going to see the movies then? Just watch the OGs, keep them in your heart, and leave everybody alone.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to, like, for me personally, the Star Wars movies is episodes 1 through 6.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on the sequel trilogies,
which we've talked about a lot.
7, 8, and 9. At the end of the day, I just don't consider them. If I'm going to sit down and watch Star Wars, I don't consider them as watching Star Wars. There's a group of kids that grew up on them here over the past few years, and they're probably going to love them and continue to love them into the future. And you know what? Good. I'm happy when people like things. I don't think it's a movie. It is a movie. There's no reason to hate on it.
Well, when I did my rewatch a couple years ago around May the 4th, I just watched them all. And I know that people have, like we said, their opinion on sequels. We have our opinions on the sequels. The Force Awakens was great. Like, there was so much potential there. Yes, you could be like, oh, they basically copied A New Hope. Maybe that's why we liked it so much. But and I remember going to see The Force Awakens. It wasn't, because midnight showings were already not a thing anymore, but it was still that, like, excitement with
I
other
agree.
Star Wars fans there. And it was just a lot of fun, and I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like, so those are going to be some of the ones that the kids remember. I thought it was particularly cool when I'm seeing on TikTok that a lot of people who love Revenge of the Sith, like me, they were either too young or not alive yet when that movie came out, and they got to experience it in theaters. I know they brought Empire and Return of the Jedi back, but it was always very limited, and it wasn't locally close to me. I still would. I've never seen the originals in theaters. I would love to do that. I have now seen The Phantom Menace in theaters. I have not seen Attack of the Clones, which I'm hoping maybe for the 25th, because this one did so well, they'll bring that one back. But the sequels in Revenge of the Sith were the only ones that I've seen in theaters. I would love to get a chance to go see like Empire or Return of the Jedi, especially to see my Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi. And I think that we need to. I guess the numbers are out, and it's doing great for like a re-release.
Really well. It did really well for a release. I think
do this more often, Disney.
I think your hope for Attack of the Clones is going to be dashed because that's the same year that A New Hope turns 50, and so
do one in May and one in December.
They're certainly going to push A New Hope out.
Yeah, and I would see that one. Just do space it out. You don't even have to do it on the exact date. Make it like a whole big thing. Combine them. Do like a double feature. Give me something. I think it'd be really, really fun. I think they need to do this more often. And it brought back to me a lot of emotions of the 20 years ago when we went to see that. We were dating. We weren't even engaged yet. We were just dating.
We were still in college.
Just little babies. And this was back when I remember seeing a lot of movie premieres like this. I know we did Spider-Man this way. One of the Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire. That's the old one. I know we've done some Harry Potter movies like this. It used to be when the movie dropped, like it would drop that Friday like normal, or you could go see it at midnight. So you'd technically be still seeing it.
It's on Friday, but you're, yeah.
Yeah, nowadays, you can just go ahead and see it like the Thursday at like 6 p.m. So we were there at midnight. We had gone to my sister's house, it was back when they lived in their apartments. My brother was there. They had some other friends over, and we had like the little party. We ate snacks. We went to the theater. I remember there were people in full-blown costume. The news was there because guess who? The paper decided to interview, not Daniel, me. Did they interview some people in costume? Maybe. They chose little old me, and I was quoted in the paper. Even a simp for Anakin and Darth Vader back then, because my quote, which I would probably change now.
So you'd have to do a retraction on some of your comments.
Revenge of the Sith, I had not seen that movie yet. It was not. I was getting ready to go see it, so I couldn't have said it was my favorite. I said, and now I would put Empire just because it's such a baddie. I would put it slightly above Return of the Jedi, but they're still very close. But I was quoted as saying that Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie because Darth Vader becomes good again. Because like Padme says, there's good in him. So even back then, and do you remember like just the feeling of excitement at that? Like it brought back a lot of those emotions for me. What about you?
Oh yes, it was exciting. I remember going to see. They re-released the original trilogy in 97 before.
I wasn't in the fandom yet.
As kind of a build-up to, like, they'd announced that they were making new ones, but we didn't. Yeah. So they put the originals out with some of the special changes that they made and started that whole thing off. But anyways, we were excited. I remember, I was one of those kids with plastic lightsabers fighting in the front of the theater before the movie started. And then, of course, the real excitement was 99 when Phantom Menace came out. Yeah.
I sadly was not part of the fandom yet, but I do remember when people, I remember the commercials for Star Wars. I remember that was around, I feel like around the time Phantom Menace came out is when Weird Al did the parody for the Jedi instead of America. Bye, Miss American Pie.
Yep.
Like, I remember all of that happening, and obviously when Attack of the Clones came out, I've already discovered Hayden Christensen because I watched him in a show, as I've told you guys many times, called Higher Ground. A Canadian soap opera, and like right after that show, like he got cast and did Star Wars. And I feel like that show probably wasn't going to get another season, but I think other people have debated and read that one of the main reasons it didn't because he was the lead character and he was going off to do a Star War, which is pretty cool. So I do remember being like, oh, I should maybe see this. This guy's hot. And then I would meet Daniel in college and we would watch them on my tragically tiny dorm room TV. Daniel also introduced me to Lord of the Rings. I don't love Lord of the Rings as much as I loved Star Wars. I didn't take to it as quickly. But Lord of the Rings, that's another thing that I would go see again. I've only seen the Return of the King in theaters. I haven't seen the other ones. I would go see those.
Now, if you want to talk about a movie franchise that I would get jacked up to go see in theaters, let's get some of these Star Trek movies out. Because I've seen only a few in theaters.
I thought you were going to say, like, let's do it totally old school and do the OG Jurassic Park.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd be there in a heartbeat for that one,
cool
too. But just the original OG Jurassic Park, not a single one of the other ones.
Yes.
It's not a movie franchise. Okay. It's a single movie.
Let's steer back from Jurassic Park, back from Star Trek, because you have to always get in a Star Trek reference. Though, you know what bodes well for you, though, is the fact that, while I like Star Wars better, when you met me, I was like, well, I've watched Star Trek.
That's right.
Is that
you're still, this year, you're still watching the fourth movie with me, right? The one with the whales.
I thought, how many have I seen? Have
2.
I seen 2 of them? Why would I not watch the third movie?
We already watched the third movie.
Oh.
We skipped the first movie.
Why would we skip the first movie?
Most people don't like it.
Including you?
I like it.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that should, but that's the thing. Part of our history is that I actually knew Star Trek more than Star Wars. And then I became obsessed with Star Wars.
It was meant to be.
Then everybody started to think Star Wars was cool. I take credit for that. I really do. But that was really fun for me. And also, like you already had that experience of getting to go back and see it. This was my first time getting to go back to see like one of my beloved ones. Like I like the Phantom Menace, but I never got to see that in theater. For the time I saw it in theaters, I've already seen it. So I think that there was a lot of fans out there that did experience that as well. And I really liked seeing like the comments of people like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got to see." They called him Daddy. Anakin, like, on the big screen. What was it? The part, I turned to Daniel. I said, I used to pray for days like this with Anakin's sweaty nightmare abs. I'll never forget being in the theater. My sister and I went, oh. And you and my brother-in-law looked at each other. Did you guys just, like, roll your eyes at us?
Yeah. And
ladies, and guys, if you're into that, seeing it again, oh, wow. He looked good. I just can't believe how good. I mean, he still looks good, but it was just I'm a simp for Anakin back then. Still a simp today. But you know who really struck me looks-wise as not like being hot, but just, wow, they look really young? Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was, because like you've said, we've seen Revenge of the Sith multiple times.
I didn't notice
but
that when we watched it
when
on
we
TV.
watch it on TV, I don't notice as much. But for some reason, on the big screen, as soon as he popped up, it was like, oh, this is a 20-year-old movie.
Like, it's just weird. I think, just like we said, because it's so, the TV, the quality's not as good, and maybe we're not, and when we watch it on TV, we're probably not as dialed in either. But that was one of the first things, and I've always thought that Ewan McGregor just continues to look young, but even like I was like, okay, he looks young. I mean, he still looks young. I think he looks younger than like Hayden and Natalie both today, and I think he's older than both of them. But just seeing Samuel L. Jackson, and I think it's because too we've seen him, like, yes, Hayden Christensen and Natalie have done, especially Natalie, but like Hayden's done some other work. But Samuel L. Jackson is somebody that I continually have seen in movies all my life.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Marvel movie or just another movie or something, he's just always been on my screen. He's been at award shows constantly. So it really just struck me at how young he looked. I think that was, you and I turned to each other. We were like, whoa, he looks young. Unfortunately, guys, I do have to report that Anakin once again fell to the dark side. Every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I gaslight myself into thinking this time he's not going to be manipulated into it. He and Padme are going to go off. They're going to live on Naboo. They're going to raise their twins. It's going to be a great time. And if y'all are looking to go in and see it in theaters, hoping for an alternate ending, you're not going to get it. But just stick by it. Stick with the series. Get to Return of the Jedi, and you'll see that he becomes good again, and then you'll get to see Anakin as a gorgeous Force ghost, and it will be so wonderful.
Well, the good out of the way, I guess we got to get to the bad and the ugly.
What, Revenge of the Sith?
No, Star Wars.
Oh, I was like, that movie's perfect. It's cinema. It's perfection. What did you think? We're going to wait a minute. I want to talk about it a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The fight scene of Mustafar at the end, like seeing that on the big screen again, even though I clearly, and I kept it in check. I wasn't a menace to everybody. I recited the speech in my head, moved my mouth, but I didn't do it out loud. I was nice.
You just waited to do it to everybody here on the podcast.
Yes, duh. Seeing that on the big screen again. Oh my, I know we talked about like how good everything looked. That was just incredible. That shot of them in like the distance with like their silhouettes. What'd you think about that?
It was always a good fight scene. It's even more elevated when you look at the fact that like Ewan and Hayden did all of that. They didn't have stunt doubles for that scene, and they didn't speed it up. Like everything you see in that was them fighting each other on the set. Yeah. So yeah, it's an impressive fight scene. I don't know, for me when it comes to prequel fights, I still think Duel of the Fates probably is better. You think Mustafar is better than Duel of the Fates?
Mustafar carries the emotional weight to it, really. That just gets me. That's like two essentially brothers fighting. You see that, and ultimately Obi-Wan screws up. Darth Vader wouldn't be marching around killing a bunch of people, doing a bunch of other stuff if Obi-Wan had just finished him off. Instead, he just kind of let Anakin catch on fire and bounced out of there. He didn't make sure because he couldn't do it. He loved Anakin too much. So it's the emotional impact that like, you were the chosen one, and then he's like, you were my brother, I love you, and Anakin be like, I hate you. Like, it just, all of those things driven makes that the better, more impactful fight sequence to me. But I do think the one that you are referencing is also very good.
I'm speaking more, I'm kind of taking the emotions out of it and just like an entertaining, let's watch these people whack each other with lightsabers kind of situation.
Okay.
And I think the Duel of the Fates with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul was just a really, really good way to open it really established what the lightsabers are in the prequels, because if you recall in the original series, the lightsaber battles were not particularly great, and more importantly, I think you can explain that by everybody who's fighting in the lightsaber battles in the original trilogy is either super old, was mangled terribly, and is in a really restrictive giant black suit, or has never picked up a lightsaber a day in their life. In Luke, and so it kind of explains that. So then we get to episode 1, and we don't really know what to make of. We've never seen Jedi in their prime before, and then we see Duel of the Fates, and it's just like, holy cow.
Continue to be the attire, though.
Yeah,
they just continue that. See, for me, I can see what you're saying, but for me, Star Wars is good because of the emotions that are attached to it. Ultimately, Star Wars is a love story. I saw a comment on TikTok and I was like, you know what? Daniel said something very similar to me the first time we watched Star Wars. So the girl was like, my boyfriend told me that we could watch it because there's a little bit of a subtext of romance. And I remember you saying, of course, you were referencing more Han and Leia at the time. And then, like, I think you indicated to me about Anakin and Padme when we would watch those. And I was like, I'm the same way she was, like, subtext? Honey, that's the whole thing. Star Wars is one giant love story. Tragic as it may be, it's a love story. It starts as a love story, and ultimately it ends as a love story. And I'm not counting the sequels right now, though you could say those were a love story as well. But, like, it ends with our Luke Skywalker taking the cues from his mother, basically, because as we've said, Luke is more like Padme in many ways, and being able to love his dad so much that love ultimately does overcome that evil, and we get to see Anakin again at the very end. And is it tragic? Yes, but Star Wars is a love story. Anakin fell to the dark side because he was so in love with Padme and so scared of losing the love of his life that he and there was a lot of manipulation going around, but it's a love story. So I saw that. I was like, that's kind of how I was with you. Even when we watched the originals, I looked at you and I was like, oh, Han and Leia, because I actually didn't know that. That was one of the secrets I did not know. I'm like, Han and Leia better get together. Like, I knew little bits pop culture wise, but I didn't know like about that. But then when we got to the prequels, I was like, oh, Anakin and Padme are like the ultimate love story. They're like the whole catalyst for the whole thing. So Star Wars is a love story. I know you might like it for different reasons, but do you ultimately, I feel like you have to agree with me that, like, that's why Anakin turned. Like, is it a good love story? It's tragic.
Am I getting force choked if I disagree? I don't disagree with you.
How can you disagree?
I don't know.
Because you wanted to follow
I don't disagree with you. It's just
you like it for different reasons.
No, I do. And now at my advanced age, I do appreciate it for those kinds of things. But you got to remember that a lot of men tend to come into Star Wars now at
Pew, pew,
a
pew.
specific age where the things that draw them in is not the love story and the subtext and the
Yes.
political commentary, but instead look at that lightsaber and
I
look at
know.
those spaceships.
But
And some guys never grow beyond that.
I guess. But
While
would
others do.
Anakin have fallen to the dark side? Maybe not. The reason why he did everything, and that's why it's so tragic, is he did all of this for Padme, and he still lost her at the end. And you know what's something I didn't notice that until we watched it, when they both ask each other, like, if the other one is all right. Did you notice that? Like, Padme, is she all right? And like she asked, is he all right?
That was the last thing she asked before she died.
But I think the last thing she says is
they're still good in him. And it's one of
But
the first things he asked as Darth Vader.
Yeah, when she like wakes up and comes to, she's like, "Is he all right?" Like, so it's I think that's what makes Star Wars so good, is that there is something for everybody. If you like action, if you like all of this, but for me, it's the emotions, the characters, how they like. Okay, my favorite scene from the sequels actually is a Luke Leia scene when Luke is, I think he's there but not there. I'm really fuzzy on that one. I think it's got to be from The Last Jedi. And he's like, what does he say? He says something about a reference to Han Solo.
Nobody's really ever gone.
Nobody's ever really gone. And then like the little dice. And I just thought that was a very touching moment, because I feel like we didn't get enough of Luke and Leia moments.
No.
That I would have liked to have seen with their bond as siblings. You could be like, oh, they weren't planning to be siblings. Yeah, we could go in deep on the Star Wars lore, but it's just that the emotions, those are what draw me in. And I know you don't cry all the time, and I was already crying before the movie got going, but just seeing, I actually cried even more over this time than just the Anakin Padme stuff that I always cry at with the Obi-Wan Anakin fight. Like, that is where I cried the most when we rewatched that movie, because it just breaks my heart. And then just now that I've seen the Obi-Wan show where he's like, Anakin, I'm sorry. He's like, Anakin Skywalker, it's like, he's gone now. I am what remains. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. And now we have all of that added to it. It made that scene more of a gut punch to me.
Is your Darth Vader voice just Theranos? Because that's what you just dipped into there.
Oh, are you talking about the Hulu thing? Theranos.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I cannot do a full-blown Darth Vader voice. It's about as deep as I get. Can you actually answer the question? Did you get emotional at all?
No.
But you can see why I did.
Yes.
So your emotions is more just from your fandom at the beginning.
Yeah, just reminder, like that. Regardless of which Star Wars movie it is, that it always starts the same way. If it's an episode, I guess, because there's 2 movies that don't.
You're not really a crier at the movies, though.
Only when like the first time I see one of my favorite characters of all time, die.
Spock.
Kirk.
Oh, Kirk. When does he die?
You haven't watched that movie yet, but we'll get there if you just give me the time and watch them.
Okay.
All right. So that's the good.
What is the bad?
Are we not going to talk about Andor?
I wouldn't call it bad. It's fine. All right, y'all. So, as promised, I'm finally slugging my way the rest of the way through Andor.
Season 1, by the way.
Season 1. I was further in than I thought I was. I thought I had only watched, because someone's like, you have to get to episode 5 for it to be good. I thought I was only on episode 4. Apparently, we had gotten through episode 5. Is that correct?
That's what our Disney Plus return to this seemed to indicate. And
I'm still waiting. I have 3 episodes left of Andor.
Season 1.
Season 1. Season 2, I believe, just came out like last week.
There's 3 episodes out so far, and I think another 3 more dropped this week.
Oh, so they're doing the 3.
Yeah.
Why can't I get that content and be blessed for other Star Wars shows? Instead, I get the weekly release. I digress. It's like 12 episodes, people. I think there's 12 episodes in season 2 as well.
Yeah.
Has it gotten better than when I stopped watching it and couldn't because it was so boring? I wanted to fall asleep every time I watched it. It was like watching paint dry. Yeah, it's gotten better. Do I see why it would be nominated for Emmys? I guess. And set design and stuff. Other than that, though, it's fine. To quote Daniel, it's fine. It's not terrible. I don't think it holds a candle to Ahsoka, which is the best Star Wars show, even better than The Mandalorian, in my opinion. I think I am one of the, you can sign me up for the team that was like, where I've read things that if you like The Acolyte, you didn't like Andor and vice versa. The Acolyte puts it to shame, and shame on you, Disney Plus, for listening to all the haters, because The Acolyte deserved better, and the gall of them to roll Manny Jacinto out at that little, was it like a festival? Celebration. Ticks me off unless I get to see his character again. Whatever. The Acolyte, I looked forward to with a great anticipation what they were going to do next. And it was just different than everything. I have 3 episodes left of season 1, and I am still waiting to be just totally sizzled. And apparently, again, we are a spoiler podcast. I just casually asked Daniel a question that was, I guess, a big sizzler from what you're telling me at the end of season 1. So
it's not a sizzler. It's just like I think at the end
like
of the
wow
last episode, they
moment.
like tagged this onto the end because they didn't answer it throughout the course of the rest of the show.
Fairly obvious. So Cassian, at one point, after they do the heist, they get the money, he goes to what I call Star Wars Myrtle Beach. And he gets like, I don't know what he was doing. They pick him up. They're like, you're getting 6 years in prison. And he's like, what? So they take him to this prison that looks like it's just a sensory hellscape nightmare. Not even being shocked. You can take out shock in me, but just my bare feet alone constantly. Does that not make you sick?
I wouldn't like it.
I would hate it. So he's in this barefoot prison. They're working, and I'm just looking at the shape of everything they have to work on each day, and I'm like, oh, so are they building the Death Star or something? Daniel's like, oh my gosh. He's like, that's the end credit scene of season 1 where it's the big reveal, and I was like, oh. And could I have been even more casual about the way I asked you that question? I was like, you think they're building the Death Star? Like, I pretty much said it as like an offhand remark while we were eating and watching the show.
Yeah, you were not excited about it.
I was just like, yeah. I mean, like, I was trying to figure out what they were building. And I'm like, surely they're not just wasting their time. I'm like, I guess I could see them being wasteful. But I know, like, some of the books I've read for Star Wars, they talk about people that, like, had to work on the Death Star. So that's probably also where it was in. Because, yes, I have read a Star Wars book. I'm that cool, y'all. And you just were like, yeah, that's, like, the sizzle at the end of the season. So everything that I'm going to say that I enjoy before I let you talk about Andor, the Mon Mothma content, my favorite part of the show. Give me more of that, please. I hate her husband. Leave your husband. Leave your husband. I enjoy that. I'm not... The little FBI and the uptight dude, they're still not doing it for me. Like, they're just... I know they're like the villains and they're trying to find Andor, but it's just... I'm going to need that to ramp up a little bit, or maybe see a spark of humanity in either of these people, because I'm just right now, they're just like villain amped up to times 50, and I'm just not feeling a connection to them.
Do you ship them at all?
They had some heat, but honestly...
No. That's not what I asked. I didn't ask if there was heat.
I'm not sure
I asked, do
them.
you ship it?
Maybe not yet. I tend to like my ships to be like, I guess they could be two hateful people that hate each other. Like if she were to hook up with like Cassian Andor and fall in love with him somehow, okay, and it gets her to, let down her hair, that now we're talking, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know. Well, I'll have to see.
They seem like the two worst people you could imagine getting together, if that's the direction they're going to go. Which I don't know.
Chemistry between them, but I'm not feeling that emotional pull. And Andor, the main character, I love Rogue One. I think Rogue One is one of the best things. I think it's better than like the sequels that Disney did. I think it's a better movie than Solo. But he was not my favorite character from Rogue One. I found him to be boring in that too. So maybe that's part of it. The girl, don't remember her name.
Jen Erso.
Yeah, I liked her. I liked I am one with the Force is one with me, or whatever. Like that guy, the little ragtag crew. I liked the droid, which supposedly, spoiler alert, I'm hearing I get to see in season 2.
Yeah, I believe that's the case.
But his scenes, thankfully, from what I've read, he's going to bust out of that prison soon, because I'm sitting there looking at you. I'm like, and I thought their camp scenes were boring. But I knew Cousin, by the way, from The Bear was bad. Clocked him immediately. And that got revealed, I think, like literally in the episode we picked it back up on. So, yeah, my take on Andor, I'm not going to say it's bad. But those of you that are acting like it's the greatest thing that Disney has made, I just have a lot of questions. Maybe we just like different stuff, because right now, it's fine. I'm just going to give it, Daniel, it's fine. Would you like
That's
to
fair.
proceed?
I'm enjoying it. I think I'm definitely enjoying it more than you do.
Better than fine?
I'm,
Or are you
I'm
still,
not. I'm not
it's
there
fine?
yet. I think part of my problem is, of course, I've been spoiled to a certain extent on the finale that's going to happen,
Yeah.
which I am going to enjoy watching because I think it's going to be satisfactory.
It better snatch my wig.
It's going to be satisfying. I do think that a lot of the praise, not all the praise, not all of it, but some of the praise that Andor gets is in opposition to things like The Acolyte. There's a fan group that has
consider
created
me
a
on Team Acolyte,
schism
then.
within the Star Wars community, and they don't like this, but they do like this, and they need this, Andor in this case, to be considered just miles ahead of the other stuff.
Is it kind of like how when Solo came out, because Solo was the project that came out right after The Last Jedi, that everybody acted like Solo was the greatest movie ever because they hated The Last Jedi so much?
The people that went to see it, because there are a lot of people just did not go to see Solo. Solo was...
I remember you and I saw that on opening night, and we were like, it was like us and 3 other people.
Yeah, it did not feel like a Star Wars movie.
It was weird.
But yeah, there's not as many people do that, but there's certainly a lot of people in the Andor versus, which is in the Andor versus the Acolyte, which is weird because none of them ever talk about Ahsoka.
Which Ahsoka trumps them both.
So
hands down. Do you not agree? Ahsoka is the best for what we've seen of Andor so far.
Yeah,
and the
I agree.
Acolyte.
The thing to me, honestly, that has tamped my excitement about Star Wars down is the Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Like I just want to enjoy something and not feel like I'm gonna be criticized for saying, "Oh, I enjoyed that thing."
Oh yeah, I got criticized by saying I like the Acolyte. Shoot, you still get criticized when you say that. Like when I say I like the prequels better than the OGs,
like,
people act like I'm insane.
I enjoyed Ahsoka season 1. Go check out our supercut about that. I enjoyed the Acolyte. Go check out our supercut. I'm enjoying Andor. And I don't see any reason why I'm not going to continue to enjoy Andor. What I know about the end of season 1, it has me excited to see that resolution. And certainly the buzz, but I don't know, the buzz about the buzz about season 2 has me excited. Yeah. It looks like there's maybe some more Mon Mothma content for you coming in season 2.
Darth Vader?
No, it's been confirmed. No Darth Vader, no Emperor.
I would put him in there. Dumb. That's another thing. They were going to give me Plagueis from the Acolyte. That ticks me off. So right now, just based upon, not what you know, based upon what you've seen from Andor and what you've seen from the Acolyte, I'm going to make you pick. Which one do you like better?
I have to go.
Choose wisely.
I have to go with the Acolyte, and for one simple reason.
You.
This is right now, this is the only reason. Again, I'm limited because I haven't seen the final 3 episodes of Andor season 1. But Andor is not traversing any territory that's new.
Whereas what I liked about the
Acolyte was showing us things we haven't seen before. It was showing us background that we haven't seen before. Whereas Andor, I mean, we knew there was a rebellion in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. We knew there was a rebellion, and we knew that it developed in some way. And it's not a stretch to go, oh, and here's how it happened, which is what Andor is showing us.
They're playing it safe. They're not taking any risks with it. So, I know the Mon Mothma stuff is very good, though.
Honestly, they could have explored that.
I would rather it had been her show. Like, I do like seeing the big Senate room. I like seeing all of that. It's just, I feel like I get 2 minutes of her per episode that I have to look forward to. And we did just have the blonde girl from Game of Thrones, with the faceless man people. I don't know what her name is in Star Wars. We did get the reveal that she's Mon Mothma's cousin, and you and I are both oh, that's probably the first time I've done
that was Andor. They did a really good job with kind of weaving that in and making something seem up, but not really giving us any, and so then they kind of just toss that out there, and I thought that was a good reveal. I thought they did a good job with that, so I'm excited to watch the end of it and see how it plays out, because I know I know highlights of what happens, but I don't know much detail around it. So I want to see them fill in the gaps on what happens.
Ben Mendelsohn is going to be in season 2.
Yeah, he's reprising his role.
I've already seen some edits of him.
he's reprising his role from Rogue One.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I don't know why you want to at least have a little Darth Vader wink. Throw a little wink in there.
See, to me, with how much they're in the chambers, it would make more sense to show Palpatine. But I saw an interview with the showrunner who said that somebody like Palpatine is such a big thing to bring in, and he did just with the story they already had.
Would do it.
With the story they already had, he wasn't sure he wanted to like go that deep into it because he didn't want to just pop him in for one scene and then not do anything else with him.
Andor? We've got Jon Favreau that does Mandalorian. We've got Dave Filoni, the greatest ever. He does Ahsoka.
I can't. It's not a traditional Star Wars person. Gilliam, I think is the last name. I can't remember his name. He came in and helped them finish Rogue One. When Rogue One finished primary photography and it was kind of a mess, he kind of came in and cleaned it up and is the reason we kind of got the version of it that we got. And so then he was like, well, I could be interested in doing some more in this kind of specific time frame.
And I would just like to say, too, because I have seen and heard Andor fans say, like, and I am honestly insulted by it, because I do like a good slow burn story when done correctly. I love The White Lotus. That's a nice slow burn of details. I just think they could improve the pacing a little bit with Andor. I don't think we needed 12 episodes. Like right now, I'm like, can we please get him out of this prison? And it looks like I'm going to get my wish in this next coming episode. I'm like, I was longing for the days of the camp scenes with him and the other rebels that was boring me so much. I'm just like sick of it. Like it's fine. I just want to know, send me, if you are a listener of this show and you're one of the people that really like Andor, give me 3 reasons why you like it so much, 3 things that you like about it. I just want to know, and I'll read it on air. Like, I just want to, like, you could be like, oh, I like this journey. I like these things, I guess. Maybe we should.
And by the way, things that you like about Andor, not comparisons to things like The Acolyte and why it's better. Do not support your enjoyment of a show by bashing another one.
Go ahead and do that, because I just want to know. Now, obviously, if this finale is super awesome, Daniel, we're looking at Daniel, and you're like, I don't know if you'll like it or not, like, what's going down, then I might adjust my mind. That being said, I'm just going to totally change gears here. The Walking Dead was a show that the first season was great. Second season, a little better. And then it started doing this thing that I hated, where your premiere episode, your mid-season finale, and your finale would be where everything happened. Everything else, you had to slog through it. And it got to a point where I lasted longer than you did.
Yeah, you did. I tapped out after, I think, 5, maybe?
Tapped out early. Yeah.
Season 5, I think,
Glenn
is where
hadn't even died yet.
Yeah,
you were, like, way out of there. Like, you didn't get to meet, like, what's his face? Hillary Burton Morgan's, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's husband.
Yeah, I never saw
Jeffrey
him.
Dean Morgan.
I never saw him.
Negan. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't even get to that. But it would just be, like, I feel like I was just, like, almost doing homework. And then suddenly I'd have, like, the major episode. And I do not like it when shows do that. So, yes, you can just don't talk down to me about, like, pacing. I've seen people like, oh, well, it has a nice slow burn pacing.
You don't feel like you're doing homework to watch Andor, right?
No, I don't. Okay. Not that hasn't gotten that bad yet, but I'm saying if we get to the thing where the finale is just insane and I had to watch 11 episodes of content to get to the crazy, I'm going to be a little irritated. I'm referring more to the people that are like, oh, it's just a slow burn. It's telling a story. That's why I like The White Lotus. I like it when shows do that just correctly. And I do. Like, there's certain aspects of it, Andor, that I really like. I almost wish we would have just done, like, the Mon Mothma show. Give her more scenes, because she is who I am most interested in and what's going on from, like, that political side.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that for sure. So
that's all the Star Wars we watched. We did not watch the Jude Law one yet, which Daniel tried to entice me to watch it by comparing it to a show he doesn't even like anymore. He's like, I heard that it's like Star Wars and meets Stranger Things. I'm like, you don't even like Stranger Things anymore. And you were like, anymore.
I'm trying to speak your language.
You should have just been like, Jude Law, Jude
see,
Law.
So it's either that or I could have turned you off to it if I had said the other thing I've heard people say,
what?
Which is like Star Wars and Goonies.
I've never seen the Goonies.
I know, me neither.
Neither of you. Everybody holds their collective breath.
And we're not going to. We've made it. It's actually in our marriage contract.
We're gonna dig our heels in.
We both agreed
Your
that
sister's screaming
to have and to hold in sickness and in health, and neither of us will ever watch the Goonies.
It elicits such a reaction when we tell people. We have nothing against it. We like it. Doesn't it have like Sam from Lord of the Rings in it?
I think so. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's like one of
And
the
like,
main characters.
isn't the Toxic Avenger in there somewhere? Like
Toxic Avenger?
I've seen some weird, creepy looking guy. Looks like the Toxic Avenger. You don't know who the Toxic Avenger is?
No. Has he been in the movies?
I don't know. He was a cartoon show from the 90s, I think.
The only superheroes I knew about in the 90s were like, besides the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, were like Superman and Batman. Like all this Marvel stuff, like I didn't know who Captain America, I guess I think I knew sort of who Captain America was, but like Iron Man, didn't know who he was at all. I guess I knew Spider-Man. Now I'm backtracking a little bit because there was like a cartoon show, right? But like didn't know who Iron Man was, didn't know who Thor was, and I feel like didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. And I think that's pretty common. Like Disney kind of put Disney, Marvel, whatever you want to call it, those characters on the map. Like I feel like Batman and Superman were like the two big ones, right?
Yeah, Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. Yeah, we're way off base.
When am I getting more X-Men 97?
They're working on it.
Speaking of shows and ships. Anyway, do you want to talk about something current?
Sure. We've got 2 shows we're watching. I don't know that we have much to say about either of them. You want to go with Hacks first?
I was going to go with the other, but we'll do Hacks.
Okay, let's do Hacks first. So
Episode,
I was completely wrong.
Episode 4 or 5? Which
5.
one are we on? Okay.
I was completely wrong.
It's totally wrong.
In my prediction that the season was gonna go up to the first show and end there, because this episode they just did the first show.
Yeah.
So I'm done making predictions on where they're gonna go. I'm out. I retire.
What about Deborah's anxiety? Build up to then, and she's like, I'm not having a panic attack. I'm having a cardiac event. But then I think she went to the doctor and everything was fine. When she's at the doctor at the end of the episode, it's because she was in the club and that guy put like a popper in her face and she hit her head on a bar, which the network's gonna have to talk to her about how she's gonna have to be more careful going out in public. I think that's gonna be the
we know she's getting security guards at some point, so
yes. Well, we know too that like with her and Ava, they have the HR person in the room, so the network's going to put that on her. I think the network's going to start censoring their jokes a little more. I think the network's going to come down about like, hey, you can't just go out like the two of you used to. So I think that's going to be a lot of our conflict is the network itself. And they know they have that pressure that they have to remain number one. I read a theory that they're going to pull a Conan Leno and they're going to take Deborah off the air at the end of the season, and the guy that she came on to replace is going to get better and he's going to come back. I think that'd be silly if they did that for the show. I wonder personally if they're going to go to a thing where Deborah has wanted this so much. She's wanted redemption for what was taken from her, that she's going to realize like, maybe I didn't want this at all. And I want to do something else, something different where I'm not being held back. I don't know. What do you think?
I got done telling you I'm not trying to predict any more of the season because I was just so
Go ahead,
horridly wrong earlier.
Maybe you'll be.
I don't think
right,
a Conan situation is right, because I feel like if they were going to do that, we would have met that guy already.
Yeah, and I guess
we didn't like even last season when she talked to him, it was just a phone conversation.
Yeah.
So they would be. I think we would need him characterized a little bit more to make him as the villain he would end up being if that were the case. I definitely think that you're onto something there with now that we've gotten past the first episode. I think we're going to see the grind of a daily show and what it takes to actually put that show on 5 nights a week. And I think you're right. I think at some point that toll might start to come and Deborah realize, was this what I actually wanted or this what I thought I deserved? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do like that we got more of that Deborah-Ava dynamic. Somehow they ended up watching the first episode together because she had forgotten to remove Ava from her emergency contact, and they ended up watching it in a hospital waiting room. I liked that.
I like that.
Because they're both proud of the work they're doing, even if they're still at odds. So that was just, and you could tell they so badly wanted to hold each other's hand in that moment, but they're just both resisting. I've seen a thing that's like every season we end with Deborah screwing Ava over somehow, or Ava being upset. They're like, what if we end this season if 5 is the last, where Ava is the one that's not going to be forgiving or something? I'm like, that would be an interesting shift, and it would show character growth for better or for worse for both of those characters. Worse for Ava if she's going to be more like Deborah, maybe some growth for Deborah. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't want to see it end where they never talk to each other or have a sad ending. I want them to both come around, but I think they're going to have to grow up a little bit, both of them.
No, I agree.
This Gemstones season 4. This is the second to last episode. This coming Sunday, at the time of this airing, is going to be when the series finale comes about. So we kind of had our big episode with the reveal of the bad guys, and we were both wrong. We both thought it was Stifler, Corey, Megan Mullally's character, Miss Laurie's son. We're like, oh, it's just too obvious that it's going to be Cobb, her ex-husband, but it really was him. And he's a nutcase, and he had, do you want to say his name?
Big Dick Mike?
Mitch.
Big Dick Mitch.
The car salesman, chained.
Naked.
In a room facility.
It was like a back room in his like gator farm
Gator
place.
Park. Yeah. And he captures Eli and baby Billy, who was hanging out with Eli at the time, and throws them in that room with Mitch. We have the cops even show up, and the cops are like, yeah, I'm getting a divorce too. My ex-wife's crazy. So it took Corey, who actually calls or shows up, right? Yeah, he shows up.
Yeah, he shows up.
To rat his dad out, and ends up being the one to literally put a knife in his dad's back.
And then Eli pushes him into the water and rings the gator bell. And
yeah.
That's that.
Okay.
It's kind of it's kind of a classic. This show so far has been really known for kind of having their climactic episode before the last episode of the show.
Yeah.
So like next week is, going to be more of a goodbye episode than anything else. Like I think they'll resolve a few things, but like the main villain is gone and vanquished, and now it's just going to probably be a mess around episode where we get to see kind of tie up any loose ends that we've got hanging out there.
He was the most like nefarious evil villain. Like that was dark. The stuff he was doing to Mitch and I do think we were a little bit on to Corey, because I think it's clear that Corey knew that it was his dad. He just didn't want to bring himself to accept that his dad was the one that was kind of making his mom's life hell and doing this stuff, because that's his dad at the end of the day. Like, and his dad's terrible, but that's his dad.
Corey was turning a blind eye. I don't know that Corey knew the extent of what was happening. I wouldn't put that much on him, but he definitely knew something was going on, and
he knew that his dad's the one that robbed the gemstones.
Took the Bible.
The early episodes. As for Miss Laurie and Eli, I don't know if they'll go back together. I don't know what the preview for the final episode looks like. They're at some type of event, celebration, wedding. I really, really, really want that to be Keith and Kelvin's wedding, and maybe we've had a time jump. Please give me this. Please. I could see it. Maybe Eli would get remarried. I don't think that's what he's going to do.
They're gonna do that.
I'm not even sure they're going to get back together. I could see them getting together. I could see them not. I think they emphasize that they did come together because they were both lonely people, and that she is, at the end, she talked about her relationship with each of the gemstone children, and you see that there is that deep love that they have for Miss Laurie. Like, don't let me hug her. So, let's get to the monkey in the room, shall we?
Judy did not fight Dr. Watson.
Even though he tried to drop a hairdryer in the bathtub.
I feel like my prediction was about as close as you can get. Yeah. Like, they were at odds with each other. They were fighting over BJ.
Instead, what do we have the realization for? So after Dr. Watson tries to electrocute Judy in the tub, Judy's like, we got to get rid of this monkey because BJ can walk again. Yay, he's healed. He's drinking his milk at church dinner. Everything's great. And so they go to give the monkey back, and they're like, he just gets really attached and possessive over people because he lost his mom at a young age, and that causes him to rage out and do all these things. And you see a look from Judy, and I looked at you and I said, oh my gosh, Dr. Watson is Judy. And I think they're gonna, I don't think that's the end of Dr. Watson. I think that they're going to go back and get him, and he's going to be their little baby monkey.
Whenever we get the final shot of all our characters in the show, in the next episode, Dr. Watson is going to be in that picture.
And I think Pontius's issues, he's still going to be that snarky kid, but I think Gideon showing that he's still a baddie and kind of like making nice with him, I think that might be what we get. Like, it's just going to be like they're brothers. This it is. He's like, in a way, so much like Jesse. I don't know if they're going to go more into detail with that. I'm not really sure.
I one thing I can tell you for sure is I'm not expecting any kind of like great sincere moment. Like there will be a nice moment with, and we'll probably
there is at the end of every season.
We'll
they have a
probably
sweet
see
moment.
Amy Lee's ghost, kind of come in watching them. But I don't expect like the siblings to like have some great epiphany that they need to treat each other better, because we've already had that, and then they still go back to their old ways every year. So,
what about Tingus?
Is that show ever gonna come out?
I hope so.
Now that baby Billy's taken over the role of Tingus.
Why are you smoking that pipe? You Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit house? Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's been good. I'm enjoying it. I'll be sad to see it go, but I think I've also, for me, I think this season's been a little less than the previous ones.
Do you think it's because we're not watching it all together?
Maybe. The end of last season was weird too, with the whole like locust swarm out of nowhere. So
See, that's not how I think of last season. I think of last season of them driving the monster truck at the end with the ghost of Amy Lee looking at everybody's happy.
Because those are the things you remember from this show.
Yeah, but again, emotions. I like character.
I respect Danny McBride saying we're calling it. Like, this is it, because we don't have any other stories to tell. I think we've got too many creators in Hollywood today who are probably not necessarily of their own accord. They're probably being pressured by the studios to stretch stuff out to make more money when the story really shouldn't be.
What do you think the celebration is for in the preview? You haven't even seen the preview. There's a big celebration. It looks like it's some type of event.
I don't know. It'll either be a wedding or they'll just make up some weird, goofy thing. Who knows?
Maybe
who knows?
A revival.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a revival.
Maybe Billy will be selling some albums or something.
Who knows?
I'm excited to see it end. I have faith that Danny McBride will do the show justice, and that we'll have a good solid ending. And that's definitely a show that I would go back and rewatch. Thank you for meeting me at this. What did she say? This is like season 1 at this neutral location when they're out back.
Oh yeah.
I just want to watch for Righteous Gemstones crash outs. That's all. I just love her so much.
All right, everybody. I think that's all we got for you this week. We don't have much news going on other than we still don't have a Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
We do have news.
Date.
We do have news.
What's that?
We got a full trailer for The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3, and y'all, it's good. It's good.
Are trailers news? I guess.
Yes.
Is that coming out this year?
In July, yes. It's the final season. There's only 3 books, and the trailer...
Like that ever stopped anybody.
Was perfect. Like, at first I hated it. I was like, oh my gosh, ew. Because it was so many Jeremiah Belly scenes. That is the incorrect ship. Gag. And they were doing the disrespect to give them Taylor Swift daylight. But then it was like, I was like, oh, I see what they're going to do. Like, I once believed love would be black and white, but it's golden. And I thought that was going to flash to Conrad for golden. But then it said, but loving him is red. And I think they said is red, not was red. That's another Taylor Swift song. If you're into the Taylor Swift lore, you're going to be super into this show too. And that just shows, I already know who wins in the books, but I guess the author's been saying, like, it might not end like the books did. We're going to win. Team Conrad. Let's go, baby. Woo!
All righty, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
May the force be with you.
Live long and prosper.